Que Pasa Calexico. Welcome back to the podcast. Like always, before we begin, I want to thank a couple of people. First of all, I want to thank my friends here at Calexico Brewing Company for allowing me to record today's episode here. I really, really appreciate it. I really appreciate this nice black IPA that we're having here. Also, want to thank my anchor sponsors. I want to thank my friends Camilo, Jake, Edward Velasquez, John Cabrera, Eddie Lopez from Roots Creative, Ms. Norma Galindo. Also want to thank Dents on Border. If you have any dents or scratches on your car, make sure you contact Dents on Border and they'll make sure to take care of that. Also want to thank Sergio's Tacos and Hotdogs. With over 8 years of experience serving the Imperial, San Diego, and Yuma counties with Mexicali style hot dogs and taquizas, make sure you contact Sergio at 760-562-0057 or look for Sergio's Tacos and Hot Dogs on Facebook. Finally, I want to thank David Gastelum. If you're thinking of buying or selling a home in the Imperial or San Diego counties, make sure you contact David. He's not only a realtor, but an investor with over 20 years of experience, and he'll teach you along the way in one of the most important investments of your life. So make sure you contact David. His phone number is 760-235-9576 or look for David Gastelum on Facebook. All right, guys. Well, today's episode is going to be really fun. I'm really excited to talk to my guest today. He's a lifelong Calexican. He's a former teacher. He's a published author, poet. My guest today is Charlie Zamaripa. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
We're here to, talk about your book.
Yes.
But before we get into that, tell me a little bit about yourself. Like I said, you grew up here in Calexico.
Yeah. I've been here pretty much all my life. The only times I've gone anywhere is to go to school, and that's pretty much it. I just came right back. I knew I was going to be here. I don't really like the big city, so it's a good place to visit. I mean, I used to go to the zoo a lot, Shamu. I did the whole thing. I went to school there, so I walked around a lot of places. It's a good place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there. So this is still small enough where I feel comfortable.
Yeah, to me, growing up here in Calexico, like every time I go to San Diego, LA, it's like it feels like I get claustrophobic. There's too many people.
Yeah.
The freeways are like too much for me. It's like too fast. I like the slow high.
When I would go on conferences like for work, just the constant all the cars still passing by at 3, 4, or 5 in the morning is like, where the hell are these people going?
Yeah.
Go to sleep. It's crazy. It just it's not for me. I like to visit, but it's not for me.
So you went to school here, like elementary, high school?
Dual school, the best elementary. Dianza High School, all that. I went to UCSD for a year. Left, went to Mesa College in San Diego. Then I just, I had to regroup. Things weren't working out, so I came back. And I finished at San Diego State right here.
Here in Calexico.
In 2000.
Oh, wow. I graduated from high school in 2000.
Oh, yeah? From high school?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. But you graduated from Calexico High School what year?
Yes, in 1989.
89?
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Yeah. I was like 7 back then.
Wow, man. That's
in your book, you mentioned a couple of teachers. Mr. Thornburg was one of them.
Yes.
And Ms. Rodriguez. Is Mr. Thornburg, Daniel Thornburg, the one that used to teach at the high school?
Yes. Yeah.
And then Ms. Rodriguez, was it Mary Jane Rodriguez?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So why did you mention them in your book?
They were my English teachers. Mr. Thornburg, I remember he would force us to listen to Bob Dylan a lot. And at first I was like, well, I've heard some of the songs and they're pretty good, but you listen to them every single day. You start paying attention to the words that they use and how he crafted them into... The guy won a Pulitzer Prize, and I don't know if they broke the rules, but they slightly bent them because he won it for poetry, like in literature.
Uh-huh.
And so that says a lot about him. And Mr. Thornburg knew probably way back then that this guy was a poet. And so that's exposure that I had. And Mrs. Rodriguez, I just love her style. I think she was probably my favorite English teacher of all, even through college.
Oh, really?
She just cared a lot, and I wanted to do that. That's when I saw her. I survived the year, and I knew that I was going to do that same thing. And so that's why I mentioned her in the book.
Yeah, I remember because I went to De Anza too, and she taught for a very long time. I was working there when she finally retired, and being a student at De Anza, I remember people would say like, it was like a mixture between students that didn't like her because she was strict, and then there were students that said that she's the best teacher, and like you said, a lot of people that I know that had her as a teacher would say that she was probably the best teacher they've ever had, even in college she was like, she's, but
you just have to be on your toes. You always just follow the rules and everything will work out.
Yeah. and even though she gave a lot of work and whatnot, but I think she taught a lot of students structure. Yeah. When it came to writing and just the ethics of doing classwork and making sure your papers look neat and organized and
then right next door to her, I don't know if you had Mrs. Belcher.
No,
but they had like their sister-in-laws.
Oh, okay.
And I'm Mrs. Rodriguez, her son Mike. I graduated with, so I became like almost an adopted kid for them. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be adopted by them, and they're very good friends of mine. And I grew to know her. I loved her style. She's great.
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't have her as a teacher, but I remember there was a mixture between those two sides. But I think that a lot of the people that I knew that went to college or university, always said, she taught me a lot, and I think what I learned in her class is helping me, write in university or college or whatnot.
Yes, definitely. She really made a super impact on me, and I was just never gonna forget her. Always be grateful and thankful.
And you mentioned Mr. Thornburg. He was somebody that I had in high school. Yeah. I had him for journalism, and thinking back, that kind of being in his class kind of led to what I'm doing now, because I was the editor, front page editor. And I remember one time I wrote a story on for a while they wanted to knock down the Carnegie Library, and I wrote this really cheesy story about you guys trying to knock down like a historical building, why would you want to I don't hear people trying to knock down the Colosseum in Rome or something.
That's right. Or Mike's place.
Exactly. So I remember having his class, and I remember he was he was somebody that kind of let you do and figure it out on your own.
Right.
But when you needed, the help, he was really good at, telling you, guide you in the way. And I remember I had a classmate that liked to argue or debate with him, and he would always put him in his place.
He's very clever. He's very smart.
Super clever.
He also wrote a book of poetry.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
Yeah, I have it.
What's it called?
I found it. I can't remember it. It's gonna be embarrassing. But I told him I had it, and he laughed because he didn't think a lot of people. I found it. I don't know where I found it. It was like a secondhand bookstore or something, but I have it there. And when I started working at the high school, I was like starstruck because there's still some of the. He was still there, other teachers were still there, and I was just like, wow, I can't believe I'm in the same place as this guy,
Yeah.
And to me, they were stars, they were like heroes and stuff, and they're like, to be in the same room, to be, okay, the English department goes over there, and then I'm following him there. It was amazing. It's amazing. And I just always try to say something impressive, but nervous, and it was tough.
For a while, he was working at the museum here in
I don't know.
I think so. I think because I follow him on Facebook, and I would see like he would post stuff that he was working on.
Yeah.
But Mr. Plumber was a really, really good teacher.
I just dropped off a book of mine because since I mentioned him, I've been trying to get a hold of him, and I finally got a hold of him, and I went to his house. I was like, oh God, here you go, bye.
Oh, recently you saw him?
Yeah, like 2 weeks ago or something. And I was nervous. I was nervous. This is where he lives.
like when you were a kid and you knew where your teachers live. Yeah, it's crazy. So talk to us about the book, Lost in Thought. There's 2 covers, and we'll get into the 2 covers, but there's 2 books, 2 covers, the same book, but with 2 different covers. Talk to us about your book and the poems in it.
The book, I think it's been in the works forever since I can remember. But I got really serious about it about maybe like 3 years ago. I made a goal that I had to, by this time, I want to be published. And so I got to start writing every day again and just getting the habit of writing every day and being satisfied with something. And I just I put them, the ones that I chose, I thought were the better ones. I didn't want to be serious, so I picked some silly ones that I thought would be okay. Especially, there's one, My First Memory. I think it's one of my favorite ones.
That was a good one. I read that one.
Yeah. And I had this reading at the library here at the Kiki Camarena.
Uh-huh.
And I asked if I could have my kids come in and read as well. And so I don't know what the librarian was thinking, that they were going to read like this long passage or something. But no, they read 6 words. That's all the poem is, 6 words.
I'm trying to look for it. It's because it's...
And I think they did really good. That's one of my favorite ones. My First Memory. And it's just about being born.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, and I was, one of the questions I had was, some of them are kind of serious. Some of them are kind of like, love poems.
Yes.
And then you have that one silly one. And I guess you wanted to keep like a balance of...
Yes, yeah. I don't really like being serious to begin with. But if I have to, then stuff like that comes out. The main one, I guess like the staple one in this book would be the tragedy of Crazy Bear.
Mm.
That one came to me in a dream. Like a muse came in the middle of the night and started speaking to me about, you're gonna write it this way, and I memorized it. It gave me titles to the poems. There's gonna be 7-part poem. Each one is a standalone poem, but if you put them all together, it tells one big story about this Native American, and that's as serious as I get right there.
Yeah, I was reading that one, and sometimes when you read, do you feel that sometimes, some of the poetry people write, do you think that, because at least for me, sometimes I feel like, I try to read a poem, but I don't understand it. Do you have to think some kind of way to understand some of the poems people write, or?
I just think of them as like small little movies. I was gifted with a huge imagination, and I took care of it. I nurtured it, and I can come up with all kinds of silly storylines or serious ones if I have to, and that's just my approach to it. I can see an ending, and I just love to fill in the gap in how I got there. Mm-hmm. And when I read other people's poems, I use that same kind of philosophy of just, okay, what do I see? Close my eyes and I can see something. And that's how I approached it.
I finally found this poem is called My First Memory.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the poem. Try not to blink because you might miss it. Oh. Okay, My First Memory. God damn, it's bright out here.
Yeah.
So
I thought that was really funny.
Yeah. And you know what? I was reading, I'm a huge The Doors fan. I love, Jim Morrison. And I feel that he himself was a poet, and you listen. I think when I listen to his lyrics, they don't make sense, but for some reason I really enjoy it. Like I enjoy listening to his music, listening to the words. I even bought when I became like a huge fan. I was like 16, 17. I bought like his books, his poems.
Yeah,
they might be somewhere in my garage, but I bought his books, and yeah, Riders on the Storm is one of the songs that really, the end is one of the.
It's crazy.
That's a good song, and yeah, like for a lot of people it might not be their taste, but to me it's like it's amazing.
It hit a nerve. I mean, it was the perfect timing at the time. People were looking for some kind of different sound, and they were the perfect place at the perfect time.
And I was reading the what's it called, the tragedy of Crazy Bear.
Yes,
and it's it kind of reminded me of something he would write or something he would say.
Yeah. He I don't know why I wrote. I mean, it was in the middle of the night, and this voice kept whispering in my ear that just get up and start writing this story about this Native American. It's a story of him and his mom mostly, and she's a single parent because her husband died and they got killed by cowboys or something, I forgot. And it was just them two. So everything he learned was from her, and so the mom was a physically and mentally strong character. And I got that from my grandma. I was like, all right, I'm going to base it on somebody that was her. And I love the story. I mean, they loved each other to pieces.
Yeah, I was reading part 4, and it did. I don't know. It kind of made me a little bit sad when she passed.
Yeah. It's she had to though. it did good for the story. It pushed it along. Because you'd have to make a decision then. All right, am I gonna just wallow in my misery, or am I gonna get up and? Because she wanted me to get up and live the rest of my life, which she did, and so I think she had to pass away.
Yeah, because basically he had put his life on hold because he was
right.
He felt like at least from what I understood is that he felt this obligation to, be with his mom,
right.
till
definitely.
And even though she didn't know, but he already had, a girlfriend or a future wife.
Yes.
But he wanted to make sure that she knew, his mom knew that she was 100%.
Yeah, he was with her, loyal all the way to the end, and it happens. I have both my parents, and I want to stick with them forever. It's sad. But he survived. He survived it, and she was still with them forever till the end. I only included it's 7 parts, and I only included 5.
Oh, okay.
And that was done on purpose because I was hoping that I'd get a lot of fans, and they'd be raging and they want the other 2, so they're gonna start looking for the other 2, and I don't know when I'm gonna release those.
Which one's the poem you like? If somebody asked you to read a poem from the book,
I would never read those. They're just really personal. I cry, man.
But like from this book, you don't.
Oh, I would. But again, it depends which one, because I don't like to cry, man. I don't like to cry in public, but it happens. A lot of those poems, when I'm writing, and I wrote them, then they moved me, and that's something that I think it's really important as a writer. That's your goal, to move people, to make them feel something that maybe that you share the same feeling, and it's great. It's a great feeling, and when I'll give it to somebody and I'll look at them, not to see if they're reading. I want to see what their faces look like. And you see the little lip quiver or something. I won, I did. I reached my goal. And there are very personal stuff there. Not everything is true in there. I'm not saying that they're all lies, but not everything is true in there. I like to make up a lot of stuff, especially there's one. It's a pro Charlie poem, and that's just me advertising myself.
Pro Charlie. That's what it's called.
Yeah, it's called the Pro Charlie poem.
Yeah, and you talk about moving people, and like I said, when I read the part 4 of the tragedy of Crazy Bear, it's really it is moving. You get into the character and what he's feeling.
Yeah.
And kind of like him moving on to the next stage of his life.
Yes.
And
I it's funny because I don't have the first part and I don't have the last part.
And in the book?
Yeah.
Oh, so those are the two that you left out?
Yeah. So people are wondering, I hope that they're wondering, like, why did this guy do this? I got to find the first part because the first part, it sets everything up, man. And the last part, you want to know how it ends.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's going on?
So I mentioned the two covers. Can you talk to us about why there's two?
Yes.
Talk to us about the first one.
Okay.
Kind of describe it.
It's the original one. That's art by my friend Peter Calderon. He's been a friend of mine since like 7th grade. And I always knew him as an artist. And I had asked him like years ago to do the cover art. And so he did. And he showed me this. This was like maybe the second version that he had. The first one was really cheesy. I didn't like it at all. It was just, he was trying to be nice or I don't know what he was trying to do, but I hated it. And I just told him, just be yourself, man. He got a manuscript, and I told him, just whatever you see in all these poems, just draw it. Don't be afraid to whatever it is that you want to draw. I'm pretty sure I'll like it if it's true. If it's like your own, I can tell if it's true or not. Mm-hmm. And he brought this one, and I was just in love with it. I was like, oh wow, that's Crazy Bear right there.
Oh, that's his
him,
mom?
and that's his mom.
So, I'll put a picture up when I do the video, but for the people that are listening just to the audio version, the image is a woman, and she has a baby bear that's suckling on her breast. And is this a crow or
a crow?
And he's also, or
he's trying to cover her, I think.
Oh, okay. So yeah, he's on one arm she has a baby bear that's suckling on her breast, and then there's a crow on her arm, kind of like holding the blanket.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really liked it because I knew it would be a little controversial. One of my friends, she said it was offensive, and it made me really sad because this is art. I mean, art shouldn't ever be offensive. I mean, it could be controversial or something, but not offensive. That's
Well, what did she mention? What?
Yeah, because she just didn't appreciate the fact that it was an animal sucking on her breast.
Okay.
And I was offended that she got offended, but it's we kissed and made up, and we're okay. She bought the other cover, and
so yeah, there's another cover.
Yeah, so the other cover, my publisher Steve Cott, he came up with this idea, and it kind of went with the whole motif of the Native American, and it's pretty cool. And the second one is because in my wildest dream, I wanted, because I went to Calexico schools and I graduated, I was a pretty good student, that I should feel like they should read my book in their classes. I know it's not for elementary, but it could be for junior high or high school. And I know the school board will never buy a book with the female breast feeding Native American. And so I thought of the second one, which is clean. It's just an eagle, mm-hmm. And that one is safer for them. They'll get this one before they ever got that one.
Yeah.
So that was the whole point behind. It's the same content. Mm-hmm. I don't change anything. It's just a nicer cover, I guess.
Yeah, it's like a PG cover.
Yeah. Boring
and
PG.
I bought two just because like I said, like I told you, I like helping out our local artists and
Thank you very
authors
much.
And but I am gonna give one of these away. Hopefully you can sign it before we leave today,
definitely.
so we can give it out, do a little giveaway. Whichever whoever wins, they can pick the book they want. So your dream would be for Calexico students to be able to read your book.
Definitely. I did a reading for a friend of mine. We went through the teacher education program together, and now she teaches at Central Union, and I owed her a favor. I don't know for what, and so I promised her that I would read for her, and she picked the summer school class, and so I read. She's created a Zoom meeting, and there was like 160 something people. She invited all of her students, other students, and the staff, and I was looking at all these people looking at me, and it was nerve-wracking, but I survived it, and so I asked her after everything. I was like, well, why don't you guys pick it up? If you bought it for your students, then this other teacher's going to want to buy it for her students, so you'll be doing me a favor. so hopefully, and that's where this comes. I mean, there's no school district, I think, here in the Valley that would ever buy that one.
Oh, I mean, maybe IVC or
IVC, yes,
San Diego State,
but not high school. High school, they would more buy this one first.
Yeah. So
and that's my goal.
What has been the feedback from the community about your book and your poems?
From the community, they're just. I've only heard the one negative remark about the cover. I think no one's critiqued me yet. So I'm waiting.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that maybe they do have something to kind of they didn't like, or they want to mention it, but they don't want to hurt your feelings. A lot of times, for people that create stuff, we don't get offended. It's constructive criticism.
Yeah, definitely.
And it all depends on how you come through it.
I'll cry for a week or two, but I mean, I'll get over it. It doesn't hurt my feelings that much. I like to pretend that I'm made of steel, and it'll bounce off, but I'm not. It'll hurt a little, but I get over it,
I mean, you mentioned, crying when you read your poems and stuff like that. Do you feel that you need to be somebody that's, in touch with their feelings to be able to write good poetry?
Well, if you wanna affect somebody, if you want them to feel the same way, then yes. You have to be really honest with your writing, and poetry's the best way to do it. I mean, I can't write a novel, like a 300-page novel, because I like to say I have ADHD, and it won't allow me to keep that same theme, the same thought going for 300 pages.
Yeah.
So I thought poetry is the best way to do it for me. And it has to be honest, or else people turn off. If you don't know what you're talking about, then why you're not going to convince anybody. And so I think these are convincible. And as a writer, as a reader, too many people assume that that's me in those poems. And maybe it is, and maybe it isn't.
You got to figure out which ones.
Yeah, I'm not going to say which ones are true. I'm not going to say, that's that part where she hurt me, that was me, and then point her out and stuff. But no, I mean, if you think it's me, then great. If you don't think it's me, if you don't see me, only like my friends would know which ones where it's me, and everybody else, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'll say yes.
Yeah, and I guess especially when you write about events where people were there, that they'll know, like, oh, I remember that time or place or whatnot. So you the other day you sent me a new poem that you wrote.
Oh yeah.
What's your process of because for me, like, before I used to carry a little field notes.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I used to carry, but I bought like little small ones that I could fit in my back pocket.
Yeah,
that way I could and when I was gonna interview somebody, would in a week I would try to write as many things as I could, because sometimes when I try to sit down and kind of like prepare for an interview, I get distracted. So it's easier for me when I'm walking around at work or whatnot to
definitely.
So that's kind of like your process when you're.
I carry this little man purse with me everywhere, and I have plenty of pencils in here, lots of lead, and I don't know when the good idea is going to come. So that's why I carry it everywhere. And the new one, you'd like it because include the Doors. It's a love poem, which is rare for me, and I like it. One of the next projects or something, one of two or something, is another book of poetry, but everything in it is going to be based. It's going to have references to music that I like.
Okay.
I have a poem about Steve Perry and all these girls, how they love him and everything, and I hated him because even my girlfriend, this made-up girlfriend, she's in love with him and she wants me to be Steve Perry, or maybe she doesn't. Maybe she just wants Steve Perry. And so it's me being at a concert next to a girl that I'm going out with, and you could see it in her eyes. She's totally in love with him, and I'm just waiting, and I'm looking at him with hate. And so that one's really funny. And I have like Tom Petty. I love David Bowie. He's got a poem in there, and just the other day I wrote this new one, and it's called "She Moves Me," and I incorporated the Doors, "Love Her Madly."
Yeah,
that song.
There's a poet, Carla Cordero, that she wrote a book of poems, and the majority of them were related to growing up in Calexico and what it was like living here in Calexico. Any plans on you, or are there any poems that you've published that you wrote about Calexico or living in Calexico?
I don't have any poems about Calexico, but I do write short stories, and one of the two projects that I have is a book of short stories, and that one is all about Calexico, me growing up in Calexico, and I like the short stories. I posted a couple. One was of my brother. It's called Paul's Brother. And because that's what I thought my name was for the longest time, because everybody would look at me and say, "Are you Paul's brother?" And it grew on me. It was just like I was almost resentful, but that's the way it was. I mean, he was such a good guy. He was such a great athlete. He was just a good person, and so that was my name, Paul's brother, for the longest time. And I liked it a lot. I gave it to him when he turned 50. And he was always like my idol. Uh-huh. So I wanted to be just like him until one part of the story, I'll just tell you really quick, is when he stopped wanting to hang out with me. I'm 2 years younger. So there's like a certain, I don't remember what, because I don't have a little brother. It's just me and him. And I guess when he went into De Anza, he stopped wanting me to hang out with him because he wanted to be with his friends. Yeah. And it broke my heart, man. It totally it just ripped me in half. He was leaving somewhere, so I thought, there you go, I'm going to follow him because that's what I do. Uh-huh. And the door closed, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. I'm on the wrong side of the door. And they explained to me, and I didn't believe them because it's impossible that he's going to want other friends and not me. Yeah. And that was very impactful to me, and it hurt, and like for days, and I never forgave him and stuff. And but I know now the reason, because he had to go live his own life, and as a little brother, that was very hurtful. All I saw was like hurt. Yeah. you abandoned me.
Yeah, kind of like when if a girlfriend goes out with another guy or whatnot.
Yeah, it's like, wow. There's other guys out there.
But it's funny how you say, oh yeah, Paul's brother, because when my son was little, we used to tell him, hey, Eduardo, put your sweater on. So, put your sweater on, like put it on. But he thought that piece of clothing was called sweater on.
Oh, wow.
So he's like, Mom, where's my sweater on?
Wow.
Where's my sweater on?
Yeah, man. You make associations.
Yeah.
Man.
So he was like, yeah, for a long time, like, Mom, I can't find my sweater on.
Yeah.
Like, what are you saying? Oh, your sweater. Yeah. So besides poems, you've also written, for the Calexico Chronicle, and
yes.
How do you kind of like differ? When you're writing a poem and a story for a newspaper, is it which one comes easier for you?
I think the poetry comes easier. I liked. When around it was 7th grade, I knew I wanted to write. I knew I wanted to be a writer. I didn't know if I wanted to be a poet. I didn't know if I wanted to write novels. But I loved journalism, and Brett Colford was my hero at the time. I just loved everything he would write, his editorials, and he ended up being my professor at San Diego State. And I'd like to think that we're friends, and I wrote a couple of I did an internship with the Valley Press, and he would give me the assignments, and it's very strict. And now I'm writing. I freelance with the Chronicle, and Richard was the editor. He doesn't give me a break. I try to get creative, and he'll just knock me down. And it's funny. I love the guy, and he's very harsh. But I know it's because this is his baby.
Yeah.
You want it to be right.
Mm-hmm.
And I love turning in the work, and then I'll wait like 4 or 5 minutes, and then the response will come back. He'll call me back. If he calls, then he's just gonna tear me apart. If he just texts me, I know I did a good job. So I usually get phone calls, and
shout out to Richard Brown.
Yes,
he's doing an amazing job at the Calexico Chronicle.
He's a great guy. I love him.
He's really passionate at what he's doing, and it shows in the stuff that's put out. And I think that he's doing a good job at including people in our community. Like Camilo Garcia Jr. He's doing an amazing. He just graduated from high school, and he's taking some amazing pictures. That I think that one of them came out in this. I don't know what publication was it. The AP.
It came out in the New York Times and Newsweek or something.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, that's something that I we met a couple weeks ago, and me and you and John Moreno were talking about the things he's doing for the paper, and I mean, at least I noticed how he's trying to include people in the community.
Yeah, he finds really good writers, and he's not gonna compromise because why should he?
Yeah.
Why should he?
Yeah, because it's. I mean, he's the editor, and it reflects whatever he puts out there is reflecting on
exactly. And he writes really good stuff. I mean, I love. He writes like data, like numbers, and usually if I see something like all kinds of numbers in a story, I just skip it. But he writes it where I can understand it. It's like I don't understand math. I hate math, but he writes it where you can understand, like for lay people, and I think it's a skill that you need if you're ever going to be upper echelon, and I think he is. And again, he makes everything like flow really good. He's a really good writer. So you prefer writing poetry than Yeah, because Richard will knock me down, and he can't knock me down on this.
Because I feel that I thought that it was gonna be different, because when you do like a news article, it's you're just writing, the story as it, you see it or it happened.
Yeah, it's very technical, and you can't. The human factor is almost invisible in a story if you're reporting, and I like the human factor, and I think Richard, that's where he knocks me down all the time. I try to throw it in there. Something where I show like I care or something, and he just takes it out and writes something else.
Show like I care.
Yeah,
but do you feel that it's just the way news should or?
Well, yeah. I mean, he knows more than I do about being a technical writer of journalism because he's done it forever. I mean. And he knows what he likes, and he knows how to do things right. Because he was Colford's, right ring man. He grew up with Colford being his coach and stuff, and it reflects. I mean, he's a brilliant writer. He just has a great mind for it. He can see things and ask the right questions. And one day, maybe I'll be just like him or something. He's a better dancer though. He can do a really mean Mick Jagger.
So do you think that like long term, do you see yourself keep writing poetry or go more into or do it as a side thing or keep doing the journalism thing as a side thing?
Well, I like to think that poetry is gonna sustain me, I guess. But you hardly hear of any multimillionaire, except like Maya Angelou or something like that. Excuse me. But I'd like to reach those heights. But you got to start somewhere. I was speaking with a friend of mine, and I remember in 1999 I saw these a group of 5 guys, and they called themselves the Taco Shop Poets. And just the other day, I was looking through my old papers, and I saw their autographs that I had asked for, and I was like, wow, and brought back a lot of memories and stuff. And when I saw those guys, I thought it was the best thing in the world. They call themselves the Taco Shop. I don't think they're alive anymore, or they're not together anymore. At least a group of guys, friends, and they would read their poems in taco shops because that's where families would get together. That's where culture happened. And they were part of that culture, and they're just sharing their poems. And what I liked about it is they would divide like the room in half, and we're gonna have shout outs. Okay, this side's gonna scream this when I say this word, and when I say that word, this side will say something, and you're fighting at each other. And it was like a protest during the whole thing, and I was like, wow, this is awesome. And Carla Cordero, she's similar style kind of, and I'm just I don't get that as political or I don't like to write in that style. But you had mentioned writing about Calexico, and that's where the short stories come in, because I can be a little political in those. It's just a different voice. This voice here with the poems, it's all pure imagination. And the short stories are more factual. I can give my opinion, and I feel better that way. And then, with the Chronicle, it's just follow the rules. It's very technical. I like it a lot. I like doing a story very well, where I did a story on Vic Carrillo and John when their last radio broadcast, and they're known for a lot of stuff that they've done, and I think they were expecting me to follow along, like just give them praise about how well they do sports and stuff, and I purposely chose not to do it that way because I wanted to show that they had a heart, Yeah, they're passionate about sports and everything, but they have heart. They like people. And I wrote a little piece about Vic, how he praised this a player from Hopeville, and how it impacted the grandma, how it impacted the parents. And that was a really nice little story. And I put that as like, that was my central theme, that these guys actually have a heart, you know. They're not just talking gibberish every time, and not always the Bulldogs, you know, they're people.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to come across and did, because they really loved it. And that was one of my favorite stories that I've done.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to people like them, I grew up in Las Pichoneras, you know, low income. So like, you know, growing up, I always felt like, you know, it's us, you know, the low income, and then, you know, these other people. And for a long time, I kind of had like this chip on my shoulder when it came to.
Yeah.
But, you know, getting to know them, you know, I talked to John a lot. I've interviewed him once here, and then another time with him and Vic. And, you know, they genuinely love, you know, the community. They have like some amazing stories about Calexico.
Yeah, this history.
Yeah. And yeah, like, you know, I guess a lot of the times, just because, you know, a lot of them were in city council or city manager, you know, we have this perspective or image on people, politicians or city managers that, you know, but I feel that, you know, they've been here all their lives, and they know Calexico, they know the people. And I'm like, you know, I thought about it for a long time. I was like, you know, why would these two guys want to screw the people over or the city over, when, you know, if they would have wanted to do that, they would have left. But no, you know, they genuinely love Calexico and the community, not only Calexico, but the Imperial Valley. Like you say, you know, they praise some player from Hopeville. They do their research. They know the players, they know the kids, they know the families, and yeah, they I don't know, like you said, you know, I didn't read the story. I'm gonna go back and read it now that you mentioned it, because I really want to see what you wrote. But, you know, yeah, I don't know why we went to that, but yeah, I feel that, you know,
because writing's important. Writing is I love writing. I think everybody should write. It's good. It's fun. You know, you can get things off your chest. You know, maybe you can't talk to somebody when you're in front of them or something. Yeah. And just a way of communication. You know, it's fun. I use it to get things off of my mind, like all these burdens and all these, get the monkey off my back for a while.
Yeah, to me, you know, especially at work, I feel that I express myself more when in email than I do talking. And I don't know if it's nerves or whatnot, but, you know, I'll write an email and I feel like, you know, I can express myself way better than when I would do even the words that I use. I wouldn't use verbally, but I would use it on and
communication. I mean, these are cell phones, and we don't even use them as cell phones anymore. We text. What happened to talking? You know? People need to talk. You have to go back to the old, get rid of the texting.
You know, and to me, I rather text somebody than talk to someone.
I get mad. I'm like, how come we can't talk?
And it's crazy because, you know, going back to Richard, me and him would have these conversations, you know, through text. And then one time he's like, you know what, can I call you?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, call me.
I love it. Yeah.
And we literally, like, we've I don't think we've ever met in person, but we've talked so much and text and whatnot. And that day when he called me, we spoke like for an hour. I was like, dang, like, he's like, you know what, I forgot that I had to finish the story, so I'm gonna. But yeah, sometimes, you know, that we do need that.
We should. I don't know what happened. I don't know. Everybody wants to text now. You gotta talk, man. Talking's good.
So now that, you know, because obviously, you know, the pandemic in fact affected a lot of people. You know, this is my third time in person doing the podcast. You obviously published your book like towards the end of the pandemic, but we really couldn't meet. You did a Zoom and at Kiki. Now that, you know, things are kind of like opening back, are there any plans of you having like a read, or a meeting or something like that?
At the end of this month, June, right? We're in June. At the end of the month, I'm going to take off for a couple of months because supposedly I have a manager somewhere in Spokane, Washington, and we're gonna trek across the U.S. border and end up in Chicago in August. So we're gonna stop by all the little places, supposedly, I hope. And that's gonna be a cool little 2-month tour of reading, signing, and getting to know people, push the book. Hopefully sales go up. And I've never done it, but it should be fun. Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
I've never been, I guess Spokane, Washington is the northernmost I've been. I've trekked all the way across the United States and ended up in Lynchburg like one summer. It took 3 days. That was a lot of fun. But I want to see the rest of the United States. It's
So you're gonna do a little book tour and
yeah.
What about here in the valley? Do you have any?
Well, I want to. I just don't know how to plan things.
So you need help.
Yeah. So yeah. I would. If you want to manage me, that'd be great. Just tell me where I have to be and what time, and I'll be there.
If anybody that would like to learn or hear about the book and would like to help out Charlie with little book read or sign book signing.
Yeah, just not on a Saturday mornings. Like to wake up late.
And I don't know if you talked to the city, but like the Carmen Durazo.
Yeah, I was talking with somebody, and we're supposed to plan something. We just haven't. They're busy. I'm sleeping, so it's hard to get together to plan something out. But I call it that's the Madison Square Garden of Calexico. So that's somewhere where I want to read. It's a big time for me. If I'm ever there, I've hit the big time.
You made it. So, do you want to read a poem from your book or a new one that you have?
Yeah, I want. Since you're a Doors fan, I thought I could read something from here.
So, for all of you youngins who don't know who the Doors are, they're like a band from like the 70s. The lead singer was Jim Morrison. They call him the Lizard King. And he wrote some really crazy stuff. But it's a good listen. I really recommend. If you've never heard the Doors, I really recommend you listen to them.
All right. This is She Moves Me.
She moves me.
Her body silhouetted by the candle on the other side of the room. Oh, you know what? I can't find my...
I think you sent it to me.
Yeah, you read it.
Okay, I'll read it. Oh, man. Hold on. Let me find it. Yeah,
here's this one, because this is here.
You want me to read it from here?
Yeah, because I updated it.
Oh, okay. Where does this start? She moves me. Okay, the poem's called She Moves Me. Her body silhouetted by the candle on the far side of the room. Hold on. Her body silhouetted by the candle on the far side of the room. I didn't say a word, even though millions of words and metaphors clogged my mind. The way she looked at me is the same way she makes me feel. And the way she makes me feel is childlike, wide-eyed, new and mystified. She's like the Pacific coast, sun on the horizon. It's a poet's dream to have muse in their life and put her to memory immediately, just in case I forget. Because I want more than love at first sight. I want to love her forever. She moves me. As long as she stays by my side, she'll move me until my last breath. I hear Morrison in the background singing, "Love her madly. Don't you love her?" And she's walking out the door. I love that song, but it digress. Damn it. Sorry, I lost my point I wanted to make. Oh yeah, her body was silhouetted by the candle on the other side of the room. Supposedly, the the world sits on two turtles, but I don't know if it's true or not. I believe that it's her stunning beauty that shakes the earth below my feet. It's her eyes, it's her smile, it's the sound of her voice that moves me like no one else can. I lose it when I see her eyes light up, when she makes eye contact, or when she's walking my way. It's like no one else exists in the world. It's like every single day, love renewed indefinitely. Every day is better than the day before. It's her eyes, it's her smile, it's her voice. I dare not ask for more. She moves me, and that's all that matters. I pray that she moves me for the rest of my life. To her, the golden apple goes because her body is silhouetted by the candle on the other side of the room. I cannot catch my breath.
Yeah, see, I like when other people read it because I start to stutter. That was nice. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it too. I like the Doors kind of vibe, and you included one of the lyrics in the poem. It's really good.
I think that's their most complete song because I know it's gonna hurt your feelings, but I'm not a big Doors fan. I like their songs. It's just I don't like when he starts rambling.
Yeah,
and but they're good. I mean, they're a good band. They're classic.
And I think the rambling, because when I saw the movie, and then I saw some of the concerts, and I just felt like for me, like what kind of attracted me to Jim Morrison and the Doors was like he would go in like a trance, and he would get lost, and I was like, where the hell where is he going?
Yeah,
and
it's all the drugs.
And it intrigued me. Like I've never done like acid or mushrooms and all that crazy stuff, but it was like, man, like is it really like wherever he's going, is it really happening, or is he acting?
Must be because I mean, what makes them really really good is that they were at the right time, and there was like all kinds of stuff happening. Vietnam just ended, or they're still going through it. I don't really know, but there was a new generation of person coming up, growing up in college, and they didn't want to listen to the Beach Boys. They didn't want to. The disco still sucked, and they weren't punks, but they needed to identify with somebody, and then they found the Doors, and that was their band. That that's why they're so important. I mean, they took a generation and they ran with it.
And even the way he died, like kind of like intrigued me. Like what really happened to him? Because to like they say like
it's all kinds of stories, different stories.
And it was he died at 27, like Janis Joplin or Kurt Cobain.
That's right.
Who else died at Amy Winehouse died at 27.
Jimi Hendrix. Yeah.
So it's like, there's all this lore and craziness behind.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm over. I'm glad I'm 50.
Yeah, me too. 39. So
we survived. We survived.
Yeah, for sure. So Charlie, we're almost at an hour, and anything that we didn't really talk about that you would like to add in, or any closing thoughts?
I appreciate this moment. I had a lot of fun. I want to thank everyone who's bought the book and everyone who wants to buy the book. And hopefully we can set up a little tour for here. I mean, I'll show up. I'll even go to your house and a carne asada, and I'll read there.
So yeah, and anybody that wants to buy the book, you can find it at Amazon. Just look for Lost in Thought, or just search for Charlie Zamaripa. You can find it. It's super easy for me to find it. Like I said, there's 2 covers. If you want your kids to read it, you can buy the Eagle one. Or if you don't like them, if you don't mind them seeing,
it's just art.
You can buy both covers like I did. Like I said, I'm gonna have Charlie sign both of them, and I'm gonna do a giveaway. You can choose whichever one you wanna get. And yeah, it's a really really interesting poems. Like I said, I read the part 4 of the what's it called, the Tragedy of Crazy Bear, and it really really touched me. It's crazy how I felt like it was gonna be hard for me to kind of like I said, like sometimes when I read poems I really don't understand them, but when I was reading this, it kind of brought me to all these single moms that, you know, for whatever reason they're single, but you know they give their all to their
Yes.
kids, and the kids know it and see it, and they want to, you know, pay it back to their mom. And that's, you know, when I read it, I was like, man, it's, you know, it's just a story of it's story of an Indian or crazy bear, but it's a story that, you know, lives on to till today when you know there's all these single moms that are raising kids. So yeah, it's really a lot of really interesting poems, especially my first memory.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite ones. Yes, I really like it.
Yeah, it's on page 52 for those that are looking for it. And yeah, you know, make sure to you know, buy the book. Stay tuned for the giveaway. Follow Charlie on social. Do you have?
Yeah, I'm Facebook, and that's it.
I think you need to, you know, get more or get somebody to help you out with the social media. That way you can promote, you know, your book and your poems.
I don't like to text, so maybe I'll just eventually one day just give my phone number or something.
So yeah, make sure to if you want more information, you know, in regards to Charlie and his book and any you know, events that he might be having, you know, on, you can contact me or contact him directly on Facebook, and you know, make sure to buy the book, make sure to support, you know, our local artists. Like, you know, I always say, it's really important that we, you know, support our local artists, especially like our local businesses and stuff, whatnot. But Charlie, thank you again for the time. I really enjoyed the conversation. I think we rambled all over the place, but
yeah, it's fun.
But it was fun. I really enjoyed it. You know, the stories you brought and the poems. And, you know, get to talk about the Doors, even though you don't like the Doors.
I love the Doors. It's just I wouldn't get a tattoo. They're good. So yeah, thank you guys once again for listening. Make sure to follow the Calexico Chronicle. You know, Charlie writes some really good stories on there too as well. Shout out to Richard Brown for busting Charlie's balls when he writes any stories. Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Once again, thank you guys. Thank you, Calexico Brewing Company, again. Thank you, all my sponsors. I really appreciate you guys. It's been an honor for me to have you as my sponsors, and for me to, you know, grow the podcast and, you know, bring better quality audio to you because of you guys. So I really appreciate it. So yeah, thank you guys once again for listening. Make sure you stay cool. It's been super hot, so stay cool, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.